Hey guys, Jin Graves here, just doing a video for y'all. This is more of a discussion topic video, and so I'll throw it out there and let you guys talk about it too. Comment down below all that other stuff about anything that you think. But let's get into it, guys. So the first part, and this is going to be kind of demographics stuff. So the first thing is, do in light of recent things, I'll let you guys figure out what I mean by that, because if somebody else watches later on, I don't want to have to get into that whole topic subject thing again years down the road or in a month or so, just because of how controversial that was. But anyway, so demographics, guys. Do you guys think that, well, the first part is, with demographics, is, do you think we should classify things as demographics anymore? Really, truly, honestly, do you guys think that we should do that anymore? Lieu of, like I just said, stuff that has happened recently without getting into it. So you know what I'm talking about if it is. Do you think that we should still have those classifications for those demographics and everything? Or should we kind of do it like novels kind of do, where you have like early teen novels or late teen novels or, adult novels, stuff like that. Do you guys think that it would be better if we did that, if we took it out and there wasn't a demographic for any of that? I guess I'm going to have to get into it a little bit. So I'll just touch on a couple of light things, nothing too crazy, so nobody get freaked out. But, do you guys think that maybe if we didn't have the demographics that there wouldn't be anything there to argue against? Would there not be anything there to get upset about? Because whenever we use the different stuff, whenever we use josei, seinen, shoujo, shonen, all that other stuff, is it not that they're using that to classify an age range for it, but isn't that what kind of cripples it as well? We're finding out certain things, and some stuff is marketed a little differently. Some shonen stuff is considered a certain way. Sometimes when you read it, some shonen you can tell are supposed to be shoujo. Some shoujo are supposed to be shonen. It just depends on a certain way of how it's advertised. Stuff like that. And that's where they say this is geared towards such and such. Seinen, josei, different stuff like that, different ones were published in different magazines and different stuff like that to have that. And it's not what we classify it as today. Sometimes it's not stuff that when somebody picks it up, they might say, oh, this is something cutesy, it's gotta be a shoujo. And it could be a shonen very well, very much. Same thing on the flip side with shonen. There's some stuff that you read and it's classified as a shonen, but clearly it has all the elements of a shoujo. So that's kind of the thing with this is, do you guys think that we should still have that classifications of what they are, or should it maybe just be something smaller that's on the volume? Because different things are licensed for different people, and if we didn't have the demographics there, do you think that some of the stuff would be as big as it is, or left out in a certain sense? Would ones that are getting left out because, hey, there's already a bunch of shonen that are getting printed. But hey, if we market it as a josei, we can do it. You know, we can send it out, or because some people know with josei series that they don't want to print a lot of that. They don't want to, or shoujo series, they don't want to print a lot of those. Do you think if the classification wasn't there, the demographic wasn't there, that it would still be open? Instead of saying shoujo and shonen, what if we said like, you know, like a teen novel, a teen manga, something like that? You know, josei, seinen. What if we called it an adult manga? I mean, we're going off of these classifications anyway, but there's just certain things that are different. And when you get into the manga community, I feel like it's a little different. We do have certain things, like some of my friends read, like BL. BL almost seems like it's a fifth category all on its own. There's some other ones that seem like there's categories all of their own. And so, in my opinion, I think that the demographic should be there. It should say it. But it should be something that's small, maybe just stuck on the back of the volume, and not really play that big of a role into it, because there's some that we already think are that way anyway. Because of how they are, they're just marketed a different way. So, tossing the ball over into you guys' court. What do you guys think about that? Do you guys think that demographics are something that are kind of to blame for not printing certain series? Or do you feel like that's something else? You know, and then further into this conversation, do you think that might be something that sways people? Do you guys think that for a guy, you know, for me, it doesn't matter if there's a josei, a seinen, a shoujo, or a shonen. If I read the description, see the title, the art, and it draws me in, I'm probably going to pick it up. Some of them, though, you know, I feel like people are warded off because they go, hey, that is not in my, that's not in my demographics. I'm a guy. I should be reading seinen. I should be reading shoujo or shonen. And they get warded off because this is marketed towards girls, while there are other ones that are just as good stories on the flip side. You know, so that's kind of what I wanted to know too, in you guys' opinion. If we marketed it differently, if they were totally different, if they had something else besides those four demographics to throw on those, would that be different? You know, and it's only four. We only have four of them, obviously. Would we see the same thing if maybe we had more demographics, if it was broken down a lot more? You know, certain things with genre, people will go after that. Certain people will go after certain publisher, and there's a lot of different ways how you might find your favorite artist, and they've written for all four demographics. They might only write for two. They might write for just the adult ones or the kid ones or something, you know. There's so much different stuff that goes into it. And, you know, I think it's just kind of weird how these four demographics are so controversial sometimes. They are sometimes things that seem like they can make or break you when it comes to people that you want to fit in with. People want to say, I'm just a shoujo fan. This is all I do. This is all I read. This is all I enjoy. Stuff like that. But what if there wasn't that word? What if there wasn't that classification demographic where now what would you say? What would you go in and say to any of that? Would you be able to say something like, I'm a shoujo fan? Would you say I'm a young teen or a young adult female, something fan, which something like that I feel like would definitely take a lot more people away from it. So, I mean, obviously that's not a great or the best example, but I mean, it does make sense, guys. When it comes down to it, there is just more to manga that meets the eye. Robots in disguise. So, I mean, there's just so much more that you can enjoy from it. There's a lot of different stuff, on top of that, where these classifications come from with the demographics and stuff like that. I do think it is a good thing for some people, especially when you're trying to get the new people coming out. But, guys, when I first started reading manga, I walked to a shelf and I was like, that right there looks pretty good. I'm going to pick that up. And until recently, I never started looking at some of my favorite volumes, authors, or artists, or any of that. And the funny thing is, most of the older ones that I read, because I read a lot of old Tokyo Pop and Viz, a lot of it turned out that they were that the artist was a female, or the writer was a female. I had all these great stories coming from these females that I liked when I was younger, and a lot of the art was more of that, I would say, kind of masculine style, where the people were buff, and I would say they had meat to them. My experience with older ones is, if they didn't look like a rag doll, so to speak, if they didn't have really long, like, extremities, and all the characters basically look like girls or something like that, that it was basically a shonen. It had that cute, soft look to it, and it was what kind of seemed like what shoujo is. Now, I feel like the waters are so muddied that all that stuff doesn't really matter. I can look at something that has those bold lines or whatever, and it is definitely a shoujo. There's other ones that are light, nice, soft lines that are traditionally shoujo, and they're shonen. So there's all this different stuff of why we have those classifications of demographic and whatnot, that I just really don't feel like we need those really that much. Maybe there should be a stepping stone where that doesn't matter. Maybe this would get us more printings of different ones, when it wasn't, I'm trying to classify this as this. I'm trying to just get this story published. I want this story to be out there for people to read because it is a good read. Not because of I want it to be classified as a shonen or a shoujo or a josei or a seinen, because I could get it classified as anything else, And I feel like reading a one, which in itself is controversial for a lot of people, because of the authors and whatnot, but there's a lot of them that do that anyway. But Bakuman, the manga, I thought was a very good explanation for that. Not just Bakuman, there's other ones that I've read, Dojin Works, different stuff like that. where the people went in and wrote their manga and stuff like that, and it came down to the line of what do we classify this as? Is it just because we publish it in this magazine, or is it in this other monthly magazine or whatever? Is it something that's different? And I think it's different because we change up the ages on it. We change up a lot of different stuff, and it fluctuates nicely sometimes. Most of the time it does not. So that is kind of the big meat of this discussion. I know there's a couple other small little ties that would go into it, of what people think, suggestions, whatever. And, let me know down below in the comments what you think, what would be better, what you think because of recent ordeals would be better on that, stuff like that. And guys, we're not trying to get into a fight to say if things were sold a certain way, if studies were done a certain way. That's all out the window. None of that really matters, because if we went back 10 years and took off these classifications and demographics and whatnot, there would be more of a floating freeform out there, and that probably wouldn't matter. It would be more so, have you heard of this series? Yes. Not, have you heard of this X series? Have you heard of this shonen? Have you heard of this josei, shoujo, seinen, all that stuff, So that is kind of the question I propose to everybody is, what do you think about that? What do you think about if we didn't have demographic classifications on our manga, or at least not as pronounced as it is now? Because, like I said, there's different stuff that we can read and all that, and there's not a particular type. If there was a psychological thriller that was a shoujo, shonen, josei, seinen, it wouldn't matter if I enjoyed it, so that is kind of where all this is coming to a head. And comment, post down below, let me know what you think. I definitely want to know about it, because it is something that I strongly think, as a Renaissance man reader, because I like to read about everything, and I also like to read stories that are closely alike and see how the person went from doing one thing and how they diverge. Everybody can write about people going on an adventure, but maybe the main character is not a human. You could have many different stories like that. Maybe there's tanks and weaponry and all this other stuff, or whatever. It's just a little bit of a tweak to change it up. So anyway, guys, let me know what you think, classifications, all that other stuff, and if you yourself are swayed by it. If you yourself are somebody that automatically walks into the store and you look at everything before you get it, or if you're somebody that automatically says, these are like the symbols I know Shonen Jump, this is what I want to continue to read, stuff like that. So anyway, that is it. Let me know, like I said a couple times already, let me know down below what you think, and hopefully we can have a good conversation on this, or maybe somebody will make a response video or a few response videos to this one. Let me know what you think, or maybe have a live stream about it or something. But I will catch all you great people later on. Thanks for watching. I'm Jen Graves. Oh yeah, and if you haven't already, go in and support the two foundations that I enjoy and am a part of. Both of them. First one is the Long Hairs. There you go, right there. Logo, everything. Go look up the Long Hairs. Men's hair products, stuff like that. They also have stuff for women. So don't think that this is one of those demographic things too, because it's not. Women can wear men's stuff, men can wear women's stuff. It happens all the time with different people. I've never tried high heels. Those would probably be scary. So everybody that wears high heels, men and women alike, congrats on you, because I will never be able to do that. And then the other one is the Sophie Lancaster Foundation. For that, go over and check them out. They are great. They have great stuff, and it's a great thing coming out of something that was done that is horrible, and you know, all that other stuff. So support both those foundations. Let's try and help children with cancer, and also in basically bullying to some extent, because people are different. So anyway, I'm Jen Graves. I will catch all you people later. I don't know how many times I've said that. I'm sure you guys will hear it at least a million times more, if not a bajillion, or some kind of other bazillion. I don't know, some made up alien, whatever it is. But I will catch you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.